Hi, I'm Jazz and I'm an alcoholic and I'm codependent. I work a 12-step program and I seek health. I am a seeker and a traveler in my journey. I made a mistake by writing a text to someone about how I was so upset about their disrespect. And I'm trying to get away from things like that. I'm trying to move away from that behavior. And so I did that and I didn't get a response. And so for 4 days, I'm noticing that this feeling is starting to grow and fester, and I'm like getting upset and angry, and I'm letting this feeling, like I'm noticing it, and it's not going away. So I'm like, all right, like this is obviously bothering me, so I'm bothered, and when things are bothering me, it comes out in a different way. It comes out sideways. And, I might be more easily irritated. I might be shorter with my kids. I might be more impatient and trying to hurry up. And, I might just not have as much tolerance when there's something bugging me. So I start to notice I'm bugged and this is getting to me. And so this person shows up. I talk about why they didn't get back to me, and they go, like kind of, dismiss me. And so I'm like, okay, like this is typical. And I know this, but I guess for some reason I wanted to get this off my chest. And this time I did get it off my chest without the expectation that all of a sudden they're going to evolve and they're going to see. And nothing changed. I spent my energy on that text I probably shouldn't have spent my energy on. And then I went and spent I talked about it after to this person. Maybe they did hear something this time. I'm not too sure. But either way, I had a human experience and I did this. And the thing that I think that really bothered me was just the empty sorry. And this happened a lot in our relationship. The empty sorries, and where nothing came of the apology. Like the words were always there and they wanted to be better and they said they were sorry, but the action part never came through. And so, to me, I think that sorry is an action. I think there's two parts to a sorry. I think that there's, my part to forgive just requires me to forgive that person and then get back to my peace. And I can forgive this person for being the way they are. They're being the way they are. And because I wanted something from them, I'm wanting something from their action to feel better. So I have to let that situation go. I have to let them go, and I have to process my feelings and then let that go. It's not, I need them to change and be different now and be respectful and communicate to feel better. I forgive and then I let that person go. So that's my part. That's my work that I do. But it was really making me think about apologies and empathy and saying sorries is really like there's an effort, there's a take back, there's an ownership of your mistake, there's a true honesty and admitting to something deep down in your core, deep down in my core, and not until that admitting can there be the door that opens to change. Like, so if that person can't, like anyone, say myself, I can only talk for myself. If I can't truly admit deep down inside, say I need to go in a room by myself and just do it between me and my higher power. But if I can't admit to myself in secrecy and really get down there and admit it, there's a priority system here. It means that my heart and my body will not open the next door unless that admitting takes place. And there's a lot more that comes after admitting something and owning that. The rest of the healing and the openness to change can happen once I get to that admitting part. But I have to get to that true, honest place within myself. And maybe I'm like, oh, this doesn't sound good. I don't like this. I don't want to admit that. But if I just admit it by myself, all alone, it's still admitting something. And I'm still owning it. So I can still continue to be on track. But there's the thing about that admitting and the honesty of it is that there's great reward and freedom from feeling honest, being honest. And when I'm honest, it feels good to be honest. It feels good to get to that place and just let it out and let it be what it is. You know, I have to admit that this person that I had this issue with, I have to admit that is the way that they are. That is not personal. It is the where they're at in their journey. It's the way that they are, and I let go. And when I really face that and admit that, then there's freedom and there's peace. But if I'm not accepting that person, place, or thing, if I'm not accepting that, then I'm trying to change it. I'm trying to control it. I'm not happy. There's no door that will open to solution mode. So I'm stuck. I stay stuck and I stay in pain. So when I'm trying to, make an amend, live an amend, it can't really happen until there's that admittance piece. And so only then can that happen. There was this issue where the person didn't show up at the time that they were to show up. And okay, so to outline, so I changed the parenting time and I said, you come this time and this time or this time and this time. Days before, what do? They decide to not, they said, I'll call, yeah, I'll let you know. And then they don't. And then when the day comes, they wait till last minute. And then they say, I'm just going to drop in for like an hour. So it wasn't what I outlined. And I said, it doesn't work for me. So what do? Well, I'm not coming at all then. So they're in their black and white thinking. So it's like, if it isn't that way, then it's no way. And so I kind of knew that this was probably going to happen. So I prepared myself for the loss. Like, I'm setting this up, but it really might not go that way. So I prepare myself. The thing that I kind of think is going to happen happens. So I'm not totally gutted over it. But I feel disrespected, but it doesn't mean because I'm less than. It's kind of disrespectful, but I'm not getting into it too much. Then what I did, which I regret doing, is I went and texted them about their disrespect and thinking that maybe they can change. And I think for this human experience, I couldn't help myself. I wanted to text about it, and I did. And then I got ghosted for 4 days until I saw them. And then I let it out. I talked to him about it. And then I got that empty apology. And I think what makes me feel so alone when there's an empty apology is it just feels like they don't care. It feels like the thing that I laid out is taken for granted. Doesn't matter. I feel unappreciated. I feel unimportant. Like, these are all these feelings I'm feeling from setting up that time and then from texting about it. And this is all me. Like, I'm spending so much energy here. But it is how I'm trying to healthy co-parent, and life happens. So this is my life happening here. And then I see them, I get the empty apology, and after that, I pretty much let it go. I could have let it go sooner though, but I went a little too far with this. But the point is that when I made the text and then again didn't get a response, it was almost like because I needed something from that person, I needed something from them to feel okay. instead of, I could have not texted and then just been okay. And then and just stuck to the plan of, this is just business, so just reiterate the communication of the parenting times and try not to take it personally. In this situation, I was taking it personally, and I was getting all worked up because they're not changing, but they're not changing. So that's okay. When I forgive them for being who they are, I let them go. And I can forgive anyone with myself. I don't need that other person to have forgiveness. But when I am forgiving, I let myself off the hook. I let myself go. I let myself be free. So, and then when and if there was a true apology and that did come in a healthy relationship, that ownership comes in, that admitting is there, that honesty. And then only then, with that admitting and honesty, does that door open for actual change. But if someone never doesn't see that there's anything wrong, and they might say it, but they don't actually truly believe it inside, there's no way that person can change that behavior. So honesty is huge here. Admitting and apologies. And when there is that empathy, and, because empathy is all about the other person, taking back everything that I did and going all the way to their side, and then making the change and living that amend. And so this change can only take place with all of these parts involved. Now, I have to work really hard at forgiving this person and letting them go. This was a situation where I need to let them go. But the thing is that they are only at their capacity and awareness and journey to the level that they're at. And it's not my job to bring them up or make them notice. It's just my job to lead with boundaries, lead with communication, and then try to keep myself safe and intact. I still get to move on, but I'm not going to move on by trying to drag them along with me, trying to drag them to a place of understanding, try to drag them to a place of awareness. I can only do my part and standing at my post and saying my communication and sticking up for myself. So I prepared for how things were going to go. I played the tape. I felt my feelings. I was feeling unimportant by this. And they said, well, they gave me I didn't want to text back to all that, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, yeah, okay, fair. But I said, it still would have been helpful to have just yeah, I hear you, don't agree, or just something, right? Would have been nice. But that's still me being codependent, needing something from that person. So the point of trying to break free from codependency in all of these little transactions is stopping needing things from other people in an unhealthy way, and then taking that responsibility for myself and doing what I can do, and then moving on. So really, do I think that they're going to change or can change, or, am I going to go down the rabbit hole of what I wish and wanted? No, I don't do that as much anymore. But when I was in that unhealthy relationship, I did that all the time. I was craving that connection and those real things that I needed. And the thing that I had to really accept, this is my own admitting, is that it wasn't what that was at that time. It isn't what it is right now. I didn't want to accept and admit that it's not possible to have that healthy relationship. I was craving something I was craving something from someone that I would never get from that person. Not at this time. But really admitting that it's not what I think it is or what I want. I have to really look at what it is, what I can do, and what I can work with. And so I learned this in recovery, and I'm very, very grateful for the stuff that I've learned in recovery. I'm constantly growing, and the more that I see my part and I let that person go to just be whoever they are, the less angry and resentful I am. I'm still going to be imperfect and human, and I'm still going to have these experiences, and I'm not always going to do it right. And so in this situation, I think my codependency was I wanted a text back, and I wanted them to change. And when I was with them, I always wanted them to change. And so my feelings, my unwanted feelings, I could say, is, I was feeling unimportant and insignificant because of that no response, because I thought what I was saying was quite important. And I wanted it to be received. I wanted help. And so, I wanted help to get through it. And I think that's also like such an important thing about apologies and having like real empathetic apologies with action, is like a place where you can really, really have that healthiness that relationships need. And if people are just hurting each other and never sorry, like I heard a lot of sorries in our relationships, in our relationship, but it's like that action part was never there. And so it's like, if someone is not admitting anything, there's never going to be that change. Like if there's not that ownership there, it's impossible to have that change. And I went around the block, every 3-4 months, like there would be some change, but it would always go back because that step one didn't happen, living the steps, like, and, even for me, like I had to step 1 and 2, like this person's being exactly the way they are. Why would I expect any different? Like I need to remember and accept them for who they are. So apologies is also something that I really model for my kids. Like I still struggle with anger so much, and it's not all the time, but it comes out and I feel awful. And then when they get scared and I'm just like, oh no, it's like I did it again. And so I still work on that today. But the thing about, if I was never sorry for making mistakes in my home, my kids are not going to learn how to say sorry. They're not going to see that mommy's human and makes mistakes. And so if I do that, I go to my kids and I say sorry to them and I own it back and I teach them the empathy and I just keep saying those empathetic sentences until they're good, until I've taken it all back. And sometimes, if I need to go to their side, I need to like continue to go to their side and validate them until they are good. Sometimes it takes one time, sometimes it might take 3 or 4 times. But that, to me, that's how like really, really taking it back and then putting something in place to make the change. So I have to take it back and then I have to make the change. So like the other day, I could feel myself boiling. It was just too much going on first thing in the morning. And I do really cherish a good morning. So I was doing all the things and the tools, but I was not okay. So I had to go scream in my pillow. And I teach my kids to do the same thing. Go take a break and whatever. So I'm like, well, maybe I should like take my own advice and like go do this, because I think I was going to flip my lid in the kitchen that one day. And I was like, well, instead of doing it here, I should just go take the lid off upstairs. And so I did. And it felt really good after. But it was a really good teaching moment just to teach my kids, like they do that. And so I showed them I do that. It's like I'm joining them. I'm meeting them. I'm being equal to my kids. Because I'm trying to get away from that like authority, superior, ultimate figure. I'm trying to teach them that I'm equal to them as well. And I think that will pay off in the long run. Like I could be really strong and angry and authoritative, now, and fear scare them to do what I want and obey, but that's going to come at a cost to them down the road. That's going to create little people pleasers. They're not going to be okay with authority and bosses, or they're going to bend over backwards for them. Like, the thing is that I want them to choose jobs and choose their life because they want to choose their life and jobs, not because they're scared or they're going to try to people please their boss forever to get notice and get approval, right? And be scared of anger and reaction. So I show them the humanness. I bring it down. When I bring it down and I do the same things that they do, I'm teaching them what it looks like, how to do it, to be sorry, to live sorry. And so I think sometimes some people just don't get taught that. And I even see that with my last partner. Like, he must have just not been taught how to say sorry or be sorry. It's like he doesn't even know how. Like, even when I explain all the things that hurt me and how this happened, I just get kind of like a blank look, like, that's too bad for you. And, it's like there's just not that connection that he's a part of this thing that happened. But because I know them and me in this relationship, I know better now now I really let that go instead of getting all upset that they don't operate that way, that I wish that they could, so that I could be okay. Instead, I accept that is the way that they are. I admit that to myself. I let them go. I forgive the situation. That's fine. I'm okay with that now. But you know what I mean? I might not have an intimate relationship with that person. We're not going to get to certain intimate levels together. That's not a safe place to be for me, and to be close and spending a bunch of time. So I know what these red flags are looking like, and this is just one of those situations of learning. I have my human experience, but then I'm learning to let that person be the way they are, and not needing them to change or be that way. It's really only going to happen when they see. It's really only going to happen for them on their time. I am no part of it. So I just pray for them. I pray for them that it could happen, and then I let it go. Like, next time I'm probably not going to say that text or have that big conversation. I normally don't do that, but I did do that this time. And when I didn't get that response, I thought, yeah, it's a little edgy, and I shouldn't even have texted and said that. But it was like, I just couldn't help myself. I just needed that them to take it back. I wanted that so bad, and I had to let that go. But I do think that in a healthy relationship, I think that my time would have been respected, and if they did kind of acknowledge that, yeah, it's kind of rude to just drop in last minute with no notice, I think in a healthy relationship, it's okay to make the mistake and just be like, yeah, I'm sorry, that was kind of inconsiderate of me. Like, the whole thing would have been over at that point, but it didn't. It went on for a week. So these are the things like I learned in recovery and Coda, and just like all my work on trying to get healthy is just like stop needing that from a place I'm never going to get it. Like, stop needing things from places I'm never going to get it. Like, looking for love in all the wrong places. Like, looking for that serenity and that peace and that connection in all the wrong places. It's not at that place. Okay. I hope the best for them. That's me, how I deal with that today after all this work. But yeah, I just believe that I really believe in a good apology, and I think sorry is an action. And I dealt with that a lot with a person that was very unapologetic, no remorse, like very remorseless. But I always got hurt by that all the time. Like, they don't care that they hurt me, and they're trampling all over my feelings, and look what they did. They made me feel this. And still, until I started to own my own feelings again, It's like, well, am I going to feel like this? Do I choose to feel like this? What are my feelings? So I did feel insignificant, unimportant, and disrespected. I felt them, but then I let them go instead of look what they did to me. Look what they did to me. I get all hung up on that. That was the old way. The new way is just like, okay, how am I feeling? Okay, and then they're the way they are, and then move on. Like reiterate the communication, the message that I was about the parenting time. Just reiterate the communication. Get back to the plan, right? Like there's a process, and so this is just some life stuff that happened this week, and yeah, I hope that it helps someone. So yeah, thanks.